Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly command respect without raising their voice, while others constantly struggle to be taken seriously? It's not because they're physically stronger, it's not because they're louder, and it's certainly not because they demand attention. The difference lies in something much deeper, something psychological. People don't respect confidence that is performed, they respect confidence that is lived. The greatest mistake most people make is believing respect comes from pleasing everyone around them. They become experts at saying yes, avoiding conflict, apologizing for things they didn't do, and sacrificing their own values just to keep others comfortable. They think kindness alone will earn admiration, but the world doesn't operate that way. Excessive approval seeking often invites the very disrespect you're trying to avoid. When people sense that your identity depends on their validation, they unconsciously begin to test your limits. Human beings constantly observe one another. Every conversation, every reaction, every decision sends a signal about how you see yourself. If you constantly explain yourself, defend every choice, or chase acceptance, you're communicating uncertainty. And uncertainty attracts challenges. People naturally push against weak boundaries because they want to discover where they end. If they find none, they'll continue pushing. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Think about the strongest individuals you've ever met. They weren't desperate to prove they were important. They didn't interrupt people to make themselves heard. They didn't compete for attention. They carried themselves with quiet certainty. Their words were measured. Their actions matched their beliefs. That consistency created trust, and trust created respect. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is deciding that your self-worth is no longer determined by other people's opinions. The moment you stop asking, "Do they like me?" and begin asking, "Am I living according to my standards?" your entire energy changes. You become less reactive, less anxious, and far more difficult to manipulate. People notice this change immediately because confidence has a presence that cannot be faked. This doesn't mean becoming cold or arrogant. Arrogance is often insecurity wearing expensive clothes. True confidence is calm. It listens more than it speaks. It doesn't rush to win every argument because it doesn't need every victory. It chooses its battles wisely and walks away from situations that don't deserve its attention. There will always be people who test you. Some will challenge your patience, others will question your decisions. A few may even try to undermine your confidence because your growth reminds them of their own limitations. Don't see these moments as obstacles, see them as opportunities to reveal who you really are. Every time you refuse to betray your values for temporary approval, you're strengthening the foundation of your character. Remember, people don't follow the person who seeks permission to exist. They follow the person who knows exactly who they are. Respect begins the moment you stop negotiating your identity for acceptance. When your actions consistently reflect your principles, your presence becomes stronger than your words, and others begin to think twice before underestimating you. And once you've built that quiet confidence, the next challenge is protecting it by mastering the one thing that gives away your power faster than anything else: your emotions. Now that you've begun building quiet confidence, you must learn how to protect it. Confidence without emotional control is like a fortress with its gates left open. It may look impressive from the outside, but it can be conquered in moments. The people who gain the most influence over you are rarely the strongest or the smartest. They are simply the ones who know how to provoke your emotions. The moment they control your reactions, they control the direction of the interaction. Most people believe strength is demonstrated through immediate response. Someone insults them and they fire back. Someone criticizes them and they rush to defend themselves. Someone questions their value and they desperately begin explaining why they're worthy. But look closely at what is really happening. They are allowing another person's words to dictate their behavior. That isn't strength, that's surrender disguised as confidence. Every emotional reaction reveals information. Anger exposes your frustrations, defensiveness exposes your insecurities, impatience exposes your lack of control. Manipulative people understand this instinctively. They don't need to overpower you physically, they only need to push the right emotional button. Once they discover which button works, they can repeat the process whenever it benefits them. This is why silence is often more powerful than speech. Silence creates uncertainty. It interrupts the expectations of those who are trying to provoke you. When someone expects an emotional explosion and receives calm composure instead, they suddenly lose their advantage. They begin questioning themselves instead of controlling you. That shift changes the entire balance of power. Imagine someone publicly challenges your opinion. Most people immediately jump into an argument because they fear appearing weak. But confidence doesn't rush to prove itself. Sometimes the strongest response is a calm smile, a thoughtful pause, or even choosing not to respond at all. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've realized that not every battle deserves your energy. There is enormous power in creating space between stimulus and response. In that brief moment of silence, you regain control. Instead of reacting emotionally, you choose strategically. Or you ask yourself, what outcome do I want? Rather than, how do I make them regret what they said? Those two questions lead to completely different lives. Your emotions are valuable servants but terrible masters. They should inform your decisions, not control them. Anger can reveal injustice, but it should never become your decision maker. Fear can warn you of danger, but it should never become your prison. Confidence grows when your principles become stronger than your impulses. People naturally respect individuals who remain composed under pressure because calmness signals certainty. Anyone can appear confident when everything is going well. The true test comes when you're criticized, rejected, ignored, or misunderstood. Can you remain steady? Can you keep your dignity without seeking revenge? Can you walk away knowing your peace is worth more than winning an argument? Remember, emotional discipline isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about refusing to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. It is choosing patience over impulse, wisdom over pride, and purpose over ego. Every time you remain calm while others lose control, you strengthen your reputation. People begin to realize they cannot manipulate you through fear, anger, or pressure. And once people recognize that your emotions are no longer available for them to control, they begin searching for another weakness. That is why the next step is making sure your boundaries are so clear that no one dares to cross them without consequences. Once you've learned to master your emotions, you face another challenge that determines whether people will continue to respect you or quietly begin taking advantage of you. That challenge is your boundaries. Many people spend years trying to become more confident, more successful, or more influential, yet they ignore the one thing that protects everything they've built. Without boundaries, confidence slowly erodes. Without boundaries, respect becomes temporary. Without boundaries, even the kindest people eventually become victims of those who recognize hesitation as an opportunity. People rarely start by showing extreme disrespect. They begin with something small. They interrupt you repeatedly. They dismiss your opinions. They ask for favors without appreciation. They borrow your time but never value it. They make jokes at your expense and then call you too sensitive if you object. Each small action is not just behavior, it is a test. Consciously or unconsciously, they are asking one question: how much will this person tolerate? Your answer is never found in your words alone. It is found in what you allow. Think about that carefully. Every time you accept behavior that violates your standards, you teach others how to treat you. Most people believe they are being patient, generous, or understanding. In reality, they are creating a pattern. Human beings repeat what works. If disrespect produces no consequence, it becomes normal. If manipulation succeeds once, it will be attempted again. This is not always because people are cruel. It is because people naturally adjust to the limits that others establish. This is why saying no is one of the most powerful skills you will ever develop. Not an angry no, not a defensive no, a calm, confident no, a no that requires no lengthy explanation. Every unnecessary explanation invites negotiation. Every apology for protecting your own values weakens your position. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Many people fear setting boundaries because they worry others won't like them anymore. But ask yourself this question: if someone only values you when you constantly sacrifice yourself, do they truly value you at all? Relationships built on your inability to say no are not relationships built on respect. They are relationships built on convenience. There will be moments when establishing a boundary makes people uncomfortable. Some may accuse you of changing. Others may call you selfish. Don't be surprised by this. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries often resist your growth the most. They're not reacting to your confidence, they are reacting to the loss of control they once had over you. Strong boundaries do not require aggression. They require consistency. If you tell someone a certain behavior is unacceptable, but continue accepting it, your words lose credibility. Respect grows when your actions consistently support your standards. People quickly learn that your principles are not temporary emotions. They are permanent expectations. Another mistake people make is believing every act of disrespect deserves confrontation. It doesn't. Sometimes the most powerful boundary is distance. You don't have to argue with every disrespectful person. You don't have to convince everyone to understand you. Walking away from people who repeatedly ignore your standards is not weakness. It is wisdom. Your attention is valuable. Your time is limited. Don't invest either where they are constantly undervalued. Remember this, boundaries are not walls built to keep good people out. They are filters that reveal who genuinely respects you. The right people won't resent your standards. They'll appreciate your clarity. They won't see your confidence as arrogance. They'll see it as self-respect. And those who cannot respect your boundaries often expose exactly why those boundaries were necessary in the first place. When people realize that crossing your boundaries always comes with calm, consistent consequences, they stop testing your limits, and that's when real respect begins. After you've established strong boundaries, something remarkable begins to happen. People stop seeing you as someone they can easily influence, but lasting respect requires something even deeper. Boundaries protect your value, but competence creates it. The world may notice confidence for a moment, yet it remembers excellence for a lifetime. If you truly want people to think twice before disrespecting you, become so capable that your presence carries undeniable weight. Too many people focus on appearing powerful instead of becoming powerful. They invest enormous energy into looking successful, sounding intelligent, and creating an impressive image. But appearances eventually collapse under pressure. Reality always exposes imitation. Genuine strength comes from developing yourself so thoroughly that your results speak before your words ever need to. Look around at the people who command the most respect. It isn't because they constantly remind everyone of their importance. It's because they consistently deliver when they make a commitment they honor. When they face a challenge, they remain focused. When obstacles appear, they solve problems instead of making excuses. Reliability is one of the rarest forms of power in today's world. Discipline is what separates temporary confidence from permanent authority. Motivation comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up inspired, other mornings you don't. If your growth depends only on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline removes emotion from the equation. It teaches you to act according to your goals instead of your feelings. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens your identity. Waking up when you plan to, finishing the work you started, learning a new skill instead of wasting another evening chasing distractions, exercising even when you don't feel like it, reading when others are scrolling endlessly. These actions may seem ordinary, but together they transform the way you see yourself. And once your self-image changes, your behavior changes. Once your behavior changes, the way others respond to you changes as well. People naturally respect those who possess something valuable. That value isn't limited to money or status. It can be knowledge. It can be wisdom. It can be emotional stability. It can be the ability to solve difficult problems while everyone else is overwhelmed. Become the person others rely on when situations become uncertain, and your influence will grow without demanding attention. Never confuse loudness with strength. The truly capable rarely need to advertise themselves. They are too busy improving. While others compete for recognition, they compete against yesterday's version of themselves. This quiet obsession with mastery creates confidence that no compliment can provide and no criticism can destroy. There is another advantage to becoming highly competent. Manipulative people usually search for easy targets. They look for individuals who are dependent, uncertain, or lacking direction. But when they encounter someone who possesses discipline, skills, and self-respect, they often move on, not because they're intimidated by aggression, but because they recognize there is little to gain. Competence creates independence, and independence makes manipulation extremely difficult. Don't make success your goal simply to impress other people. Success pursued for approval becomes another form of dependence. Instead, pursue excellence because it expands your freedom. Every skill you develop gives you more choices. Every habit you strengthen increases your resilience. Every challenge you overcome makes future challenges appear smaller. Understand this truth. Confidence without competence eventually becomes arrogance. Competence without confidence often goes unnoticed. But when confidence is supported by genuine ability and disciplined action, it creates an unmistakable presence. People begin to trust your judgment. They value your opinion. They hesitate before dismissing you because your track record has earned credibility. Your reputation is built one decision at a time. Every disciplined action is another brick in the foundation of your character. Keep laying those bricks even when nobody is watching, because one day people won't respect you for what you claim you can do. They'll respect you for what you've repeatedly proven you can become. And once your abilities begin speaking for themselves, the next level of strength is learning to recognize the hidden psychological games that others play before they ever have the chance to pull you into them. As your confidence grows, your emotions become disciplined, your boundaries become firm, and your competence becomes undeniable, you'll notice something interesting. The obvious forms of disrespect begin to disappear. But a more subtle challenge takes their place. Not everyone will confront you directly. Many people operate through hidden psychological games. They smile while competing with you. They compliment you while quietly diminishing your achievements. They pretend to support you while planting seeds of doubt. If you fail to recognize these patterns, you may unknowingly surrender your power without realizing it. The greatest battles in life are rarely fought with fists. They are fought with perception, influence, timing, and emotion. Some people don't want to defeat you openly. They want you to defeat yourself. They provoke insecurity, encourage overthinking, and create confusion until you begin questioning your own judgment. Once you stop trusting yourself, they no longer need to control you. You'll do it for them. One of the most common games people play is subtle disrespect disguised as humor. They make a cutting remark, then laugh and say, "I'm just kidding." They criticize you in front of others and expect you to accept it as harmless banter. If you react emotionally, they accuse you of being too sensitive. If you remain silent out of fear, they learn they can continue. The answer is neither anger nor submission. The answer is calm. Awareness, recognize the pattern for what it is, respond with confidence, or remove yourself from people who repeatedly disguise disrespect as entertainment. Another game is comparison. Someone constantly reminds you of another person's success. They ask why you haven't accomplished the same things. They highlight your shortcomings while ignoring your progress. Why? Because comparison is one of the fastest ways to weaken confidence. The moment you begin measuring your worth against someone else's journey, you've abandoned your own path. Strong individuals understand that comparison steals focus. They compete with their own potential, not with another person's timeline. Envy is another force that many people underestimate. Sometimes people don't disrespect you because you failed. They disrespect you because you're growing. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your success forces them to confront the opportunities they ignored. Instead of improving themselves, they attempt to pull you back to a level where they feel comfortable. Don't misunderstand this. Not everyone who criticizes you is jealous. Some criticism is valuable. Some feedback helps you grow. Wisdom lies in learning the difference. Constructive criticism focuses on improvement. Hidden hostility focuses on discouragement. One builds you, the other slowly attempts to diminish you. Learn to separate advice from projection. Observe people more than you listen to them. Words are easy. Behavior is difficult to fake. Watch how someone reacts when you succeed. Watch how they behave when you say no. Watch whether they celebrate your victories or become strangely distant. Human nature reveals itself over time. Patience allows masks to fall naturally. There is another psychological trap you must avoid: the need to win every argument. Manipulative individuals often drag you into endless debates, hoping you'll waste your energy proving yourself. They don't seek truth. They seek emotional exhaustion. Every minute you spend trying to convince someone committed to misunderstanding you is a minute stolen from your purpose. One of the strongest positions you can occupy is emotional detachment from unnecessary conflict. Not indifference, but clarity. You stop asking, "How do I defeat this person?" and start asking, "Does this situation deserve my attention?" That single question protects your peace more than any clever response ever could. Remember, awareness is power. The more clearly you understand human behavior, the less likely you are to become its victim. You begin seeing manipulation before it reaches you. You recognize envy before it poisons your confidence. You identify hidden motives before they shape your decisions. And once people realize their psychological games no longer affect you, they lose the only weapon they truly had. When you can see the game without becoming a player in it, you've reached a level of strength that few people ever attain. As you bring all of these lessons together, you begin to realize that true power has never been about making people afraid of your temper, your position, or your words. It has always been about becoming someone whose character is so strong that disrespect carries a cost. Not because you seek revenge, but because your standards are impossible to ignore. The most influential people don't create fear through intimidation, they create respect through consistency. Think about the journey you've taken. You stopped chasing approval. You learned to master your emotions instead of allowing others to manipulate them. You established clear boundaries and defended them with calm consistency. You invested in competence rather than appearances. You learned to recognize hidden psychological games without becoming trapped in them. None of these changes happened overnight. They were built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one challenge at a time. Now something extraordinary begins to happen. You no longer feel the need to announce your strength. You don't walk into a room wondering who approves of you. You don't waste energy proving your intelligence, defending every criticism, or reacting to every opinion. Your presence becomes quieter, but far more powerful. The less you seek attention, the more attention your character naturally attracts. People are constantly evaluating those around them. They ask themselves, often without realizing it, can this person be pressured? Can they be manipulated? Will they abandon their values to gain acceptance? Your daily actions answer those questions long before your words ever do. When they consistently see discipline, composure, integrity, and confidence, they begin adjusting their own behavior around you. Respect becomes the natural consequence of who you have become. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that power comes from controlling others. Real power comes from controlling yourself. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can make threats. Anyone can act aggressively when emotions take over. But remaining calm while others panic, remaining focused while others become distracted, and remaining faithful to your principles while others compromise theirs, that is rare. And rarity always commands attention. Never allow success to make you arrogant. The moment you believe you are above learning, your decline has already begun. Stay humble enough to improve every day, but confident enough to never doubt your worth because of another person's opinion. Humility and confidence are not opposites. Together, they create a person who is both respected and trusted. Understand that not everyone will admire you. Some people will dislike you simply because you refuse to be controlled. Others will criticize you because your confidence exposes their insecurity. Accept this without bitterness. Your goal is not universal approval, it is self-respect. Once you possess that, outside opinions lose much of their power over your life. Choose your relationships carefully. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to become better, not people who become uncomfortable whenever you grow. Distance yourself from constant negativity, manipulation, and unnecessary drama. The quality of your environment quietly shapes the quality of your mindset. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it is essential. Every morning you have a choice. You can return to old habits of seeking validation, overreacting, and tolerating disrespect, or you can continue becoming the person you've decided to be. Character is not created in extraordinary moments. It is created in ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. Every conversation, every response, every promise you keep to yourself becomes another vote for the identity you are building. One day, people will struggle to explain why they respect you so deeply. They won't point to a single speech, a single achievement, or a single moment. They'll simply say that there is something different about you. They feel it in the way you carry yourself. They hear it in the way you speak. They notice it in the way you refuse to compromise your principles. That is the kind of influence that cannot be borrowed, purchased, or imitated. Remember this above all else. When your standards are unwavering, your emotions are disciplined, your actions are consistent, and your character is unshakable, people won't fear your anger. They'll respect your presence, and they'll think twice before ever disrespecting you again.